This is episode 153 of the Double Cross Anime Podcast. I'm Whooper, and here's Mario.
Hey everyone.
This week we're talking about fall 2022 anime plus Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which was technically a September series, but it's got a lot of buzz surrounding it. We wanted to check it out, so we threw it on this list as well. So it's 9 TV anime, I guess. Well, that's not even true because we have Tatami Time Machine Blues. Anyway, It's 10 shows from around this September-October period. We're going to talk about them in alphabetical order. We're going to rank them 1 through 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. You know the drill. We've done this I don't know how many times now. Almost 20.
Yep.
Right, because we've been doing this podcast for about 5 years, and with 4 quarters per year, 4 seasons a year, that's about 20 of these episodes we've done. This is a big one. A lot of shows here that I was looking forward to. I think most of them delivered.
Yep. And like Whooper and a lot of us say for 2022 is like the season of anime. A lot of big shows, a lot of good ones, a lot of big sequels. I'm personally not that enthusiastic as as the rest of the anime world, but it's still a good 10 show to be picked.
Yeah, there's a lot of sequels that we included some sequels on this list of 10, but things like Bleach, My Hero Academia, they're not on here because we either lack the knowledge or the interest in their, in those series as a whole. But there's also sequels to stuff like Golden Kamuy as well.
That's
true. Just a lot of big properties.
Mm-hmm.
So we were spoiled for choice on these 10 series.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we will start them with in the alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm. So what's first?
And the first one is the last edition, the last pick that we choose in place of Blue Lock. So this is Bocchi the Rock.
Yeah, right. Originally we had Blue Lock, and one of us watched it and was like, I don't really care for this.
Yeah.
So Bocchi the Rock, here to save the day.
Me, by the way. Yep.
What's that? Yeah, it was you. Yeah. I didn't want to name names.
All right. So I think one main complaint for me in this season is that we will have like some of the like surefire picks, but we like the one that go under the radar, and I think Bocchi the Rock is like one of the very few that like that kind of surprise us as we watch.
I would say it was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I read the first volume of the manga.
Oh, right.
In preparation for the season preview that we wrote for Starcrossed. So I knew a little bit about it, but I wasn't expecting that it would be this strong.
Right.
Because it really takes the source material, and even though it stays largely faithful to it in terms of how it progresses through the opening of the story and the setup, and even the dialogue is just ripped straight from the source, but the presentation of it is pretty different. And the director of this series, he's a first-time director, but I noticed, of course, whenever I see one of my favorite series in a anime staff member's filmography, I got the gears turning like, what are they gonna cook up? And the director of this series was an episode director on Sonny Boy.
Oh, right.
So the team that worked on Sonny Boy, the animation producer for that series his name was Fukushi, and he typically works with Shingo Natsume, and he has a stable of animators and directors and stuff. Like the same core team moves with him from show to show. So this guy's been working alongside that Madhouse crew for a while. And now he stepped out on his own. He made this, and I think he did a pretty good job bringing a pretty plain series to life.
Yep. All right. Here's the key animation as well of Flip Flappers, my favorite, and What the Egg Priority, my favorite.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. But he doing the storyboard for a lot of episode 3 in particular and episode 8 for Sunny Boy.
He did.
What
Yeah.
episode?
See, if he did episode 8 of Sonny Boy,
Yeah, which
that
one
was
is
like
that?
one of the killer episodes.
Which one was that?
That was the one where you learn about the dog's backstory.
Right,
The
the
one that's
best
like a
one.
dream, kind of.
Yeah, the the really good looking one. I remember that one.
Yes.
Who, who boy. Yeah. So it I think it's no wonder why like this first episode worked well the way it did. I think the first strength of it is the main characters because normally like her type is not that interesting. Like a shy girl who like who want to make contact with people but too shy to do that.
Yeah. Like
We
Hitori Bocchi from Hitori
Yeah.
Bocchi.
uh a whole lot of other
Yeah.
animes.
Komi-san.
I remember, yeah, I remember there is like one main characters in the 4 season show. I don't remember is that on the 10th show or the Itsuki, the ninja one. That the main character tried to be Sholen in order to get the girl's attention. Is that one? But
No, you're talking about the one where it's like they have to pretend to be married, or there's like a marriage
ah
practicum that's part of
yeah
their high
yeah
school. Yeah, that
yeah
was there. There really have been a lot of anime that have made their lead characters like shy
yeah
or awkward or just losers or
yeah.
whatever. Um, and
This one, yeah, this one though they make light of it, so they they kind of they not gloss over her shyness, but like I I I just feel like the moment that Hitori, the main character, she sing about her loneliness.
right.
It's just fun and it just like just it's just
Yeah, they do
uh,
find the humor in it.
yeah, true.
Because she wants to make friends, but she like sabotages herself by never, you know, initiating conversation with anyone. She just
Yeah,
has a whole bunch of ideas about becoming popular by playing the guitar and bringing merch to school and setting it on her desk and just hoping that someone will take an interest and talk to her.
yeah,
Which is obviously not a great plan, and there is humor to be found in that. The show manages to find it. But I think
yeah.
it also takes her, her anxiety pretty seriously in
Hmm.
some key moments. Like
Yeah,
she hides in a cardboard box during her first
that
concert. That's obviously not a very serious take on it,
yeah,
but so you got the
yeah,
goofy moments like that, but you also have, I don't know, like the way that the episode is directed. For example, the opening like is very dull. It's kind of gray.
yeah,
That's before she gets the idea to become like a guitar god. It just indicates that there's not a lot of feeling and passion, I guess, in her life. She's just kind of drifting through.
yeah, yeah,
Or the scene where she's at the playground and she's just sitting alone on the swing, and there's like a guy wearing a suit who's sitting on one of the benches. She's like, ah, yes, at last, another person like me. And of course, his family shows up immediately after she's thought that, and she just like mentally apologizes to him for putting herself on his level. But the fact that she has that thought, like,
yeah,
oh, finally, I found somebody else like me, somebody else who kind of feels like they don't have a way in to
yeah,
social situations. That sort of thought would easily occur to somebody who struggles with that sort of thing. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's more of like her being shyness. I no, I think it's more of her like being social anxiety, more
yeah.
than her being shy.
Well, I think she is shy, but
Yeah,
I think that's a result of the fact that she's just Yeah, she's anxious. She's nervous. She's fearful.
yeah,
To put in the amount, to give half the effort, like conversation being a dialogue between two people. It takes two, and she just wants everybody else to kind of do the work for her.
yeah. So I think it's when she met like two of her members who like drop her into to replacing the missing members. It's helped that the two other members, like first they don't really care about her shyness. They care more about like her, like just enjoying herself. And two, they have like the personality that like play a great foil to Hitori's shyness.
Yeah. I mean, the blue-haired girl, Ryo, or
Yeah.
Yamada, I don't know which name we should be using exactly. Ryo sounds kind of masculine.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
She has a very kind of reserved. I don't even know if reserved or laid back are the right words. She's just very low energy,
Yeah.
you know, and I think
Yeah.
that kind of complements Hitori's vibe. Like if Hitori were to hold a conversation with Ryo, blue-haired girl, she wouldn't feel too pressured. I don't think, because it's not as though she has to match any signals that the other girl's given off, because she is just very kind of stoic.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and Nijika, who's the girl
Yeah.
who recruits her in the first place, is very, she's very friendly.
Yeah. She's over friendly.
Yeah.
I have a good laugh when like she asked Hitori to join, and before the girl would answer anything, she said like, "Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining."
She wasn't waiting around to hear the response to her question.
Yeah.
She just assumed, and she assumed correctly.
Yeah. 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 I just enjoy all these small moments. Yeah, the way that Hitori play a song. Actually, like they play some of the good tunes there here as well. Yeah, that I think there's gonna be one more girl joining as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there will be. To be honest, I don't remember much about the music.
Yeah, right.
But most of what I remember had to do with like storyboarding layouts, like
Yep.
there was a warped sense of space in some scenes, making it feel a little bit claustrophobic.
Yep.
And in other
Yep.
scenes, they use kind of a similar wide angle, but the effect is reversed because it puts a lot of distance between Hitori and Nijika or Ryo or whoever else is in the room. There's even a shot when she walks into her classroom after like one of the times, I don't remember if it was in the present or a flashback, but she thinks to herself, I'm really going to put myself out there today. I'm going to like say hello to people as they walk into the room, and I'm going to be sociable, or at least say something. And when she walks in, the frame is like in the opposite corner from the door, and in the foreground, it's a bunch of people having a conversation, and you can only see her between them.
Yep. Yep.
So you feel the sense of distance that she feels from everybody else. It's literalized by the placement of the camera.
Yep.
I just thought that it was pretty smartly directed in general, and the photographic backgrounds, there were a bunch of those, and I thought for the most part they blended pretty well, which is something that I like to see. I'm interested in, because at this point I've accepted that filtered photographs are just part of anime. Like, everybody's like collapsing and dying making this stuff for TV, so you got to make it easier for yourself where you can. And just to see the way that photographs are like layered, filtered, injected into these shows I'm always like on the lookout for that, and I think Bocchi the Rock did it pretty well.
Right. And she also shy, but she love her music, so that's why she put on like a alias Guitar Hero
Right, Guitar Hero, yes.
in YouTube or like some social network thing, and she's actually like her alias is really popular amongst high school girls.
Right, Nichika mentions her specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
Guitar Hero? You could be like
Yep.
Guitar Hero one day.
That's right.
I'm sure the show will keep that a secret, for as long as it can.
Not for long. Not for long.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Well, I guess I mean she might be too embarrassed to admit that it's her. You know, if she's so nervous and shy,
Yeah.
she might not want to make that confession. But I'm sure that eventually, like for the sake of a joke, it'll get revealed, and then there will be some. I don't know how you get humor out of that, but I'm sure they'll figure out a way.
Yeah. So yeah, after last season, we have Cougar, like doing gun, become as assassins. This one we have like Cougar actually, like playing music. I think the soft version of Keon, perhaps.
Interesting. I kind of got the more of a K-On! Vibe from a different series in this group of 10, even though this one is about music.
I think I know what you mean. They have like some shot of the same main characters.
Yes. In fact, I wonder if it's the same voice actress. I kind of got that sense a couple times. I didn't look it up, but
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, we do that later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this one we have like a general story, a general stock characters, but a pretty good like presentation with just some pretty good storyboarding so far.
Yeah. I agree.
Will this keep up? Hopefully so.
I hope so. I mean,
But
Sunny
yeah.
Boy episode 8. Whoever directed that is not to be trifled with or underestimated. 'Cause that was
that's
that was
true.
crazy. That was like
That's true.
that was like Gridman episode 9 levels of
Yeah.
intricacy.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the this is best looking episode in Sunny Boy, for sure.
I don't even know if I agree with that, honestly, but
All right.
it was
Yeah.
definitely a standout. Yeah.
All right. You have any other note for Bocchi the Rock?
No, and in fact, we just spent like 17 minutes, or not
Shit,
counting the
wait.
intro, we spent a long time talking about it. So I think we have to speed up just a little.
All right. Yep. So I rank it 4th out of 10.
Okay, for me it was number 3.
All right. The next one is Chainsaw Man.
Chainman Saw, yeah. Yeah, this is the big one, like the one that everybody
It
is
is.
losing their mind over.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
Yeah. How do you feel? I want to ask you first. How do you feel?
You want me to go first, huh? Okay, I thought it was pretty good. The thing that I liked most
Right.
about it was the character animation. Not the fight scene, where we get the chainsaw bit.
Yeah.
Because that I've read the entire first part of the Chainsaw Man manga, so that's like 97 chapters I've read.
Cool.
And in the manga, the fight scenes, of course they don't move, but they are quite bloody and brutal and chaotic,
Right.
and you really don't get that sense from the fight scene
Mhm.
in this episode. Like, it's violent. It's certainly violent. But it doesn't have the same sense of chaos. So that's a little disappointing. But the character animation in the first like 2/3 of the episode is insane. I remember there's a flashback. I think this is after he's been killed and he and Pochita are in the dumpster,
Mhm.
where he's dreaming about a conversation that he had with Pochita, and he's like straddling a bunch of logs because he uses the chainsaw dog to cut down trees, and so there are a bunch of logs. He's straddling them, one leg on either side of the top log, and there's this cut where he like swings his leg over, so that he's no longer straddling the log and is now sitting on it like a bench. You see that whole motion uninterrupted, and it looks crazy good. So what I got out of Chainsaw Man out of this first episode mostly was some stuff that looked like that, like walk cycles where you can see the entire character, including their feet, and they look credible. They not incredible, but they look credible as in believable. Stuff like that. I really you love to see. That was. I mean, I'm sure that most people who watched this first episode were not as fixated on that, maybe, or that weren't looking for it because they were more excited about like the violence or the general tone of it. But that was what I appreciated about it.
All right. For me though, I kind of like really in the middle of Chainsaw Man. So I'm not totally blown away. I don't think. I think it's like a wildly uneven product so far. Um, the fight scene, for example, look pretty stiff. It's look pretty CG to me.
Yeah.
S- um, the story so far is like it's kind of simple because it like it take a very simple premise so far, so it doesn't really like we don't really see the world until I think much later on. We got to know Denchi and Puchita, and I think that's good. But like at the end, they kind of fusing into each other. So you know, it just kind of like an one off thing so far. I think we get to see more of these demon slayers or ghost killer people later on. So
You mean like
I
more of the devils?
the devil's killer
Yeah.
yeah.
Because they introduced Makima, and she said that she works for the public safety bureau, where
Yep,
there are
yep,
going to
yep.
be a bunch of other devil hunters. Yeah. So the cast is
So
going to expand.
yes, the only thing that I agree with the most of the people who watch it is that Puchita is so cute as a
Yeah.
you know
That's
as
true.
the Chainsaw dog. Chainsaw dog.
Right. He's definitely very cute. He doesn't really have legs so much as he has little spheres,
Yep.
like little stumps that he walks on. But that looks amazing as well. I think
Yeah.
the animation in general is just very good. At least when, before Denji transforms into Chainsaw Man. And I think
Yeah.
this is what occurred to me as I was watching, because before I watched the episode, of course, I had seen some of the reactions, and people were like laughing at it, or other people were defending it, and some people were disgusted by
Mhm.
it, and some people loved it. Of course,
Yep.
everybody's got their own opinion about it. But for me, when I actually saw it, I was like, this isn't great, but I loved Dorohedoro 2
Right.
years ago. And I have to,
Yep.
in the interest of fairness, I
Mhm.
can't get too down on Chainsaw Man for taking this route when Dorohedoro did the same thing for Kaiman. It's just
Yeah.
it's just too difficult to animate a Chainsaw Man. Like, you can't do it unless you
Uh,
literally kill the top 10 directors in the anime industry and suck all of their like regular talent onto your production. You can't do it.
yeah.
So, I just accept it for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I kind of see what you mean. And pairing that with Dorohedoro, I think is actually a pretty good idea because like I expect Jinmei to be SY at Dorohedoro. This is not SY. I think the visual look sometimes a bit dull to me as well.
Yeah, but I think
But
that's definitely intentional. Um,
right,
like the fact that the first episode is so tonally kind of depressive.
it yeah,
It's meant
it's
to, pair
yeah,
together with Denji's like depressing life.
that's right. Yep.
Like, the sky is always overcast. It's anytime you see a shot of the sky in this episode, it's like completely covered by clouds. There's not a speck of blue to be found.
Mhm.
The city, a lot of the shots where he's walking through the city, um, just look kind of drab.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they went for that look on purpose. The whenever he's cutting lumber in the forest, like, you're not getting the big, really verdant and lush greens that you might see in another anime series, and I kind of appreciate that, actually, because sometimes when anime wants to do like just something as simple as a grassy field, the
Uh-huh.
green is so like
Right.
neon and garish and bright that it kind of hurts my eyes a little bit. So
Yep.
I'm okay with taking things down
Yep.
a notch or two on the brightness scale.
Yeah, the thing is, is this gonna change in later episode now
Yeah,
that Well,
exactly.
right.
That is the question. Yeah, once his
All right.
situation starts to turn around, if indeed it does turn around, because that remains to be seen,
Yep.
um, will we start to get some brighter colors? Yeah, and
Yep.
I mean, I know what will happen in the manga going forward, but I don't know how the anime is gonna handle it.
Yep.
So that'll
Yep.
be kind of interesting I assume that I'm gonna just watch this entire thing just because it's the big anime of 2022.
That's right. And
So
it,
we'll get to track that over the next 12
I
weeks or
think
whatever.
I think this is one of the few show where like the manga was a massive success before it was announced.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
many anime have successful. I mean, that's part of why anime adaptations get made, right? Is because the manga's successful enough to
Mm.
justify it. But yeah,
Yep.
Chainsaw Man is
Blow up
it's
a
on.
big way.
Yep, it's in
Yep.
another league.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, I kind of feel that the this premiere is like monotone in the but I think that's like you said intentional, and it's gonna be like open up and be more, maybe we get more shade of it later on, now that
More
then she
contrast.
yeah, then she becomes a
A devil hunter.
public, yeah, devil hunter, yeah.
Yeah, he does join the public safety bureau, and things escalate from there.
Hmm.
It's not going to
Interesting.
become like a workplace series where he just goes into work every day and gets an assignment and fights one demon and then goes home to his weird shed in the forest. Some shit is going to happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I kind of like, if I kind of have expect that it's like, if it go wow, I would love to see it go at wow Dorohedoro. If it's go for like animation wow, I want to expect that to be as good as Jujutsu Kaisen. At the moment though, it's kind of sit like in the middle.
Hmm. Well, I have to imagine this being a MAPPA thing that some staff who worked on both of those shows have found their way over to this one.
Hmm.
So that might be the reason why it kind of feels like a fusion of those two, at
Yeah.
least like stylistically, tonally, whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll lean one way, maybe it'll lean the other way. I think that's probably going to be up to
Yep.
like the director, I guess,
Yep.
and we'll see what he has in store.
All right. Yep. All right. Do you have any other note on this, or you want me to, or you want us to go to the next shows?
Well, first we gotta give it a number. What number did you give it?
7.
Okay, 5 for me.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. The next one, Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Mm-hmm.
The the Trigger Soul.
Yep, and it's actually Imaishi directing
Yeah. You,
instead of Yoshinari or one of their other guys. So anticipated for that reason, also because of the tie-in to the brand, like the Cyberpunk brand.
yeah.
So a big show, not technically
It's
a fall show, but we decided, throw it on there.
Yeah. Well, because it just released like a month ago, I think.
Last month, yeah,
Yeah.
in the middle
And
of September. So yeah, exactly a month ago, pretty much.
yeah. I kind of always have like a mixed reception to Trigger's first episodes. Like it always so lustful, so full of style. I don't really like the story.
Of what,
For
Cyberpunk Edgerunners, or their
no 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 no
stories
no
in general?
in general, of like the idea how they run it.
Yeah.
For Cyberpunk Edgerunners though, I actually pretty much have a good time watching it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can't remember. I knew at one point, like I read somewhere, how the scripts were, like who, I think CD Projekt Red, who did the video game Cyberpunk Edgerunners, like gave them an outline for the story, and then
Right.
it was written,
Ah.
by somebody in Japan.
Right.
But at least there was a direction provided for them to go, and they couldn't deviate like too much from that. They had a general path set out for them, so that might be why it feels like a little bit more your speed. I don't know.
All right. So this is based on the game.
Well, yeah, it's you can watch it not knowing anything about the game. You just have to accept that there's going to be a bunch of terms like chum and nova and eddy that you won't really understand. You'll just pick them up. They're kind of like slang.
Yeah.
but it's set in the same world as the game. Yeah, but the game itself was based on like a tabletop RPG from decades and decades ago.
Right. All right. Yep.
But this
I
show is
think
definitely its own thing. Like from the opening scene where you get all those cops versus the guy with a whole bunch of like high spec military equipment, which has been like installed, Ghost in the Shell style.
it's it's the game, right? It's not happened in real life, right? Because I'm still not sure.
No, it happened in
It's-
real life. It was a memory that the
Oh,
doctor,
right.
like David, the main character, is in contact with a doctor, or at least he calls him Doc. He's probably, I don't know, like he does cyber augmentation for people.
Yeah.
And it's a memory that he ripped from someone's consciousness, I guess, or their memory data bank or something. So there's kind of going to be a bit of a Ghost in the Shell vibe to everything that happens here. Like memories can probably be treated as currency or erased,
Yep.
installed, whatever. Kaiba a little bit as well. So yeah, that was a memory. And his mom, because remember, his mom was one of the EMTs who showed up on the scene to clean it up. And he says, "Look, Mom, you're on TV."
Yep.
He even passes by the scene of that event on his way to
Right.
school. There's a big blood stain on the ground, and he kind of smirks at it as he walks by. David is a bit of a weird character, I feel.
Right.
Like he
Why?
passes by that crime scene and kind of smiles.
Yep.
I don't really
Right.
get that. And then the scene where he's talking with his mom in the car, like because he doesn't he doesn't pay for the upgrade for his headset for school. Instead, he has the doc hack it for him, so he can avoid paying the fee because they don't have a lot of money at home.
Yep.
But that doesn't work, and it crashes the system, and so his mom is called into the school and has to listen to a bunch of shit from the principal. Then on the drive back home, that conversation between him and his mom came off it was very weirdly timed to me. Like she's getting upset at the thought of him like dropping out of school or not fitting in with his peers or not succeeding in life. And it's clear from her voice that she's getting really upset, but we don't see him really react to that until for a long time. The timing of that scene was very strange to me. And then of course it was interrupted by the gunfight on the highway.
Yep. And then the car crash.
That whole sequence kind of put me off of this episode a little bit.
Right. When you said it really time, I was more expecting of like the timing of their conversation and
No, the timing of the conversation too was strange to me.
all right, because now thinking back, it's the only time that they could talk like that because like the next scene Gloria passed away.
Right.
So-
Well, not
so, yeah.
exactly. She's in the
Yeah.
hospital, and then later he comes back and the doctor's like, she would have died anyway, even if she wasn't on the discount plan,
Yeah.
which sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, very time, hey, because I didn't really notice that, but I guess I agree with you because like this show, it's not that adept when it's handled the more emotional scenes.
Yeah.
Like so far we got like some of the hectic action. It's look cool. It's look good. Some of the like fun scene of exploring the world. It's look good. So like this is the only one moment where they have to nail the emotion of the way that Gloria basically work herself to death in order to have to secure a good future for David.
Right.
And
as she's saying a lot of that, the camera holds on David for a long time, and he just looks kind of ticked off.
Yep.
And you see him kind of like adjusting, kind of trying to get himself comfortable in his seat. And he often, like one of his character traits is that he often taps his foot,
Yep.
as though he has like a nervous tick. But I have to imagine that tapping is probably a result of like the fact that he he has a habit of looking at those sorts of high energy memories,
Yep.
like really stimulating memories via whatever technology you use to do that. That's probably adjusted his psychology somehow, like impacted it negatively. I have to imagine. So that's probably what the foot tapping and the shaking is all about. But he's just sitting there in his seat, like tapping his foot, kind of looking uncomfortable and kind of pissed off. And then she's, it starts to become obvious. We still don't get to see her. It starts to become obvious from her performance, like in her voice, that she's tearing up. And he's still looking kind of like, whatever, I don't really care. I'm David, blah, blah, blah. And then finally we see him look up at her, and then it cuts to her, and she's like got tears coming down her cheeks. Like, I just felt it was very odd the way that scene was timed and laid out.
Yeah. I guess I get the season is more that they wanted us to see David's point of view.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Like, are we supposed to think that he's like an asshole for
I actually
disrespecting
I-
his mom, or
I actually think that so far this guy David Martinez is a good protagonist. The one that I want to follow. I think he interesting in the sense that first he different than the others, especially at school.
Right.
Second, like he's not rich. He try his best to like to save his mom. So like and we just get to see like he go through all these like all the go through the city, go to the back of his house to get into the house.
right? He has to go through like the air duct or something.
Yeah, it's just fun to do that, and he's not the arrogant type like many of Trigger protagonists.
You don't think he's
always.
arrogant, huh?
I think he's just like one notch below, like the main guy from the main guy from all other Trigger shows.
What do you mean?
All right, the
main guy. I mean, a lot of Trigger shows have female protagonists.
all right, the
Ryoko from
the
Kill
one-
la Kill, the furry girl from BNA, Little Witch Academia.
Yeah, well, wait. The main guy from that film,
Promare.
Primary, yes,
Yeah.
and even you can compare to Gure, not other shows,
Gurren
the other,
Lagann?
Gure Lagann, as well.
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't. I mean, obviously, there's a huge parallel between Gurren Lagann and Promare, because the main characters are both, well, Kamina and whoever the blue-haired guy is in Promare. There's a clear link between the two of them, but I really don't see it.
Here.
Yeah, as far as David is concerned. So he's sure he's not the same as those guys, but I think he's still got a major chip on his shoulder. Like, he really resents the fact that his family doesn't. Well, he doesn't resent the fact that his family doesn't have a lot of money, but it causes friction between him and his stuck-up classmates.
Yep.
I just feel, in general, I think this first episode just shits on him really hard. His, he things aren't going right for him at school. He's singled out and bullied because his family doesn't have a lot of money. There's that terrible car crash because there's gang warfare happening on the highway that he just happened to be caught up in. His mom is hospitalized. She ends up dying because,
They don't have
their
enough money.
insurance isn't taken by the people who show up on the scene. They're like, forget about them, just leave them for the city meat wagon.
Yep.
He can't sell this piece of technology, whatever it was called. I didn't catch the name of it.
Yep.
No one will take it, and people are trying to lowball him and rip him off. Like, nothing is going right for him. And of course, anybody would be like frustrated or mad about that. But the way that he responds to a bunch of these scenes individually kind of makes me feel like he's just, I don't know, an angry person.
Right.
And I'm not really that fond of him or that interested in him.
Oh, right. How you take up the word in general?
It's cool. Yeah. Looks nice. Some of the use of color kind of freaks me out a little bit, but in general, I think the fact that it is so brightly lit is good because it contrasts with the place that he comes from, which is lit very poorly. It's kind of grimy looking. There are homeless people right outside of his front door.
Yeah, I I kind of think about that as well. Like when he walk out of his apartment, there's like a bunch of homeless guy, and I think like like this family actually pretty well off
Compared to them, yeah.
compared to this guy, and at least he have like the whole place for himself, and the place look okay as well, and then like he not allowed to get inside his house. It just yeah, kind of interesting to think.
Yeah, I mean the place where he lives, the way that he has to access it, the contrast between his home and the rest of the city, it does give it does contribute to his character a little bit by setting the tone visually for how he must be feeling about the place that he lives, or just using, I don't know, the lack of light, like the darkness or specific angles within his home, to frame him in a way that makes him feel small, like he has very few options once his mom gets hospitalized. So that's good stuff. In general, I think it's nice looking, and it's pretty thoughtful about its presentation. So that's good. And I mean, I'm certainly interested to watch more. I'm expecting, like, I didn't like how hard David got shit on, and felt like the script was really
hammered.
It just felt like it was, I don't know. It felt like it presented a really, really big city, but we saw only the teeny tiniest part of it because it was tracking one character the entire time. And so much of the city was like bearing down on him, It was all about how he is so small and insignificant and is getting the crap kicked out of him by this huge place. So I think once the story evolves a little bit, we meet new characters, David becomes a little bit more active and takes his life into his own hands, and we start to see more locations and the way that he navigates them, I think things are going to improve. But for now, I think it feels too like big city, small boy.
Right. And in the next episode, he gonna get installed to these to that new things. And
I don't know. I have no idea what that thing is called, but you can tell like it kind of looks like a spine. So he's gonna get completely jacked up with whatever this technology is. Yeah,
that's right. And I expect there's gonna be an episode or two where like he just like go full banana with that, and like he might get some backfire because of it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to get it installed, with no consequences. There's
that's true.
With great power comes great pain. I don't know.
Yep.
Great. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Yep.
Well, so I really enjoy. I think David is a protagonist that I'm happy to follow, and I like the world. I like the situation, the mess that he got himself in. So yeah, this is one of the show that I actually really interested to follow along.
All right. Well, with that being said, where did you put it?
I put it 2nd out of 10.
Okay. For me, it was 8th.
All right. That's gonna be the one show that might disagree the most.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Fall for me is so strong that even a series that ranks 8th, I will probably still watch all of it.
Yeah. All right, the next one is Do It Yourself, DIY.
Right.
Oh,
another. I mean, it doesn't really feel right to call Do It Yourself or Bocchi the Rock like cute girl shows. They're just series,
Yeah,
where they happen to have female casts.
Yeah, but technically, especially this show, we have like all the female casts.
Yeah, it is all female casts, and they are part of an after-school club that focuses on a specific activity. But I feel like Do It Yourself really has its own identity. It has its own thing going on.
Right. Yeah. I think I really enjoy the act of Do It Yourself, especially the background act. I don't know if any of this happened in real life where you have like the two school just like sit right next to each other, and in this case like I think uh the neighbor high school is just like on top of this one.
Yeah, that's an interesting setup. I mean,
Yeah, it
sometimes there can be a school that has its own like vocational campus, but they're both under
right
the same banner. One part of the school will be kind of like a trade school,
right.
and it's possible from that situation that the trade school comes under like new, I don't know, management and spins off and brands itself completely differently.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's what's supposed to have happened here, but I don't know, it's
Interesting idea.
possible.
Yep. I just love the design. I just love like these you see like the two school like just on top of each other, cram space, and there's a mix between the like the present and the futures settings as well,
Hmm.
as you see in like the two house between our main characters and her best friend.
Yeah,
And
Serufu and
I don't know
Purin,
the
I
other
guess.
names.
Purin is the nickname, is Miku's nickname.
All right, Purin. All right.
Yeah.
uh yeah, I just like this setup. So yeah, really interesting, and the color, I enjoy the color palette as well.
I do I want to say that I do like the art, but I mean maybe my expectations for it were too high because when I saw the PV I was like, "Whoa, this show really has like its own
Oh right.
visual thing going on. Like it doesn't I don't you don't see too many anime that look like this.
Mm,
Um that will go for so many like grays and browns and oranges while still maintaining um a somewhat realistic sense of color. I was
mhm.
expecting a lot, and I when I watched the full episode, I was kind of let down. I sent you
Right.
a screen cap on Skype earlier,
Yep.
and if
Yep.
you look at it, if you look at the texture of not what she's working on, but of the workbench itself. So this
Hmm.
is which character is this? This is the original member of
The
the DIY club. What was her name?
Yep.
Ray. Her name is Ray.
Great.
So if you
Yep.
look at her workbench, it has kind of a nice texture to it, you know.
Yep.
But if you look at what's behind her, do you see that it kind of has a filter, like a sort of a grainy, almost foggy filter to it?
Behind it.
Yeah, like the
Hold on.
shelves that are behind her and the stuff on the
Yep.
shelves, like the box and those jars or whatever all that stuff is, those cans that look like there's a paint can.
Right.
That filter that's laid over top of all of that to kind of make it look uniform,
Hmm.
I really don't like that. And that was
Right.
all over this episode.
Right.
Pretty much every interior scene used that filter to kind of push the background a little bit further to the back and bring the characters to the front. And I really don't like the
Mhm.
way, like that kind of snowy, foggy look. I'm not
Right.
talking about the fact that there's white. I'm not talking about the color of it. I'm talking about the filter specifically. I just didn't care for that at all.
Yep.
Um,
Especially when it kind of blurred the edge, right?
well, I mean, the intent is to use it to kind of blur the background so the character stands out more. But I
Yep.
don't
I
know. Like
understand.
this is a show about building things, crafting things. So any attempt to like reduce detail, I
Yep.
feel kind of goes against the spirit of the show, and
Hmm.
I don't really like that. Um,
Right. I
but
think
I
I get.
do. I mean, I like the character designs. I for the most part I like the colors, and like once they actually get down to working on stuff, like the workbench there looks nice. The the piece of wood because she's making like what is it, a bookcase or book
Oh, okay.
ends.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, that looks great.
Yeah.
So they'll just be focusing on that, I guess, as I watch more, and trying not
Yeah.
to let that stuff in the background bother me.
Yeah. Well, I see your point. Personally, I wouldn't mind it, but I could see your point of like not highlighting the background is kind of like defeat the purpose of the very purpose of making things. But well,
Yeah, I just didn't, and
Right.
I mean the art I think is a large part of the appeal of this series because it does look very distinctive. So I was just disappointed by that, but I do like the
Yep.
characters. I mean, we were talking earlier. I
Yep.
I forget if it was when we were recording or before we started recording, but
Yep.
uh, the comparison to Kaon, because
Yep.
Serufu is kind of reminiscent of Kaon's main character, whose name I'm blanking on for some reason.
Yui.
Oh, it is Yui, right? I was thinking
Yep.
Yui was the little sister's name, but that's Ui.
You. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she really does. And I looked up her voice actor. Her voice actor is pretty new. She's been working since like 2017, 2018, so it's not the same person. But there is a
Yep.
similar sense of, kind of like klutziness and
Yep.
kind of slow.
Eh,
She's a little bit slow,
yep.
kind of
I think
speaks
it.
slowly, and she has a good sense of fun.
Yeah, I think it's more like ahead. Like
Yeah.
they just
Eh-heh-heh.
they just doesn't care for they get easily distracted and they just doesn't care for like just what's going on.
Yeah, they kind of just
They
take things as they come, and
yeah yeah.
they find something to appreciate about every little situation they find themselves in.
All right, what you take about her pets?
Her pig, whose name is Meat, reminded me of Buta from Gurren Lagann.
All right,
The little
wow.
because her pig wears a little visor, and Buta in Gurren Lagann wears sunglasses. So I have to assume that it's a direct. Also, Buta means pig in Japanese,
Yep.
and Meat also being like a clear pig and having the same curly tail. I mean, I assume that it's a direct reference. I like her, so I like the pig. I like Meat. Um, her other pets are fine too.
All right. I just find it to be who had pigs at the pet,
I don't know.
but apparently this guy has. It's
Yeah,
just
and poor little Meat is always
amazing.
like shivering with fear whenever her family eats pork, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, these pork cutlets are so tasty." Little Meat is like
Um,
quaking in fear.
oh man. Yep.
I don't know
Huh.
what the deal is with her having those pets. I wonder if it's supposed to represent the fact that she's more like a more organic person,
Yep.
and the fact that they're living in the future. All these drones are flying around, and there's high schools with curricula that are just based on coding and 3D printing and I don't know, all that stuff. Maybe it's supposed to be like kind of anti-futurist, and it's supposed to be
Yeah.
more about like being down
I
to earth, and she's got these pets that are, I
yeah.
don't know.
And
They're
and
that's a
and
stretch maybe.
I do think that with this kind of like futuristic settings, it become less and less people trying to make things for themselves.
Right.
So I think that's gonna highlight the DIY club.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure that for me and many others that had experience with doing like setting up things from IKEA, just like try to assemble things. So I kind of see like all the I kind of experience all the experience that Severu had of like messing up with drilling things and like uh just kind of making that uh faulty, but we love it all the same because it's the thing that we make.
Right.
And so yeah, it's this is kind of having the that specific appeal to me as well, trying to make something for yourself, and even that it's just look not as good, you still like having like the emotional attached to it
Right.
because you make it.
Yeah, the little bookends that Ray is making, or book bookshelf. I don't know. It's
I
so
think
small. I
bookshelf.
don't really know what to call it. But
Yeah.
the place on the back where you can see that she didn't screw the one screw that didn't go in properly, and the fact that she carved into the wood a little bit when the screwdriver
Yep, yep,
went
yep.
wild.
Yep, yep.
Um, I think it's a nice symbol. It
Yep.
represents very well that first little taste that she had of building something with her own two hands, or contributing at least.
Yep.
So you can easily buy into the fact that she is inspired to join the club as a result of that experience. I mean, she's mostly pressured into it because Ray is like, please join the club. And she's like, I will. Wait, I will?
Yeah.
But she
And
does, you can tell by the end she is attached to the idea. She really wants to join the club. So
yeah,
she'll do it. They'll get 3 more members and we'll have ourselves a good time.
yeah. The two thing is that first, the setup of like you have to get 5 members to become a club. It's just a very like the trope that they use a lot in this kind of club.
Yeah. I mean, it probably has a basis in reality. That's probably a thing in a lot of schools.
Yeah, well, still. And the second thing is I don't think that her best friend Miku gonna join, because
I think we already go ahead.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the club thing is just for one specific school, right? It's not for like the joint thing.
Well, we already know who the 5 members will be because of the ED, which I know you didn't watch. So we know that the girl with the tan girl with the dark hair who who goes to Miku's school, she has the really bushy hair. She's going to be one of the 5 members. So it is possible for people from that other bigger campus to join a club, I guess, at the smaller school.
All right. All right, we roll with it.
Yeah, we'll just see who they get.
Yeah. I just realized in the main cast they have a character named Juliet Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. But there was on like one of the news broadcasts that was playing in Seirufu's home or something had a reference to Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, not the real world Queen Elizabeth, but like Juliet Queen Elizabeth or something along those lines.
Wow.
Just very vaguely, I remember that. So when they eventually meet this blonde girl who has that fancy name, I'm sure that they'll make some remark, based on, oh, you're the daughter or granddaughter of whatever or whoever.
Yep.
And it'll be like within that universe, it'll be
the big deal.
Yeah, like a public figure that a lot of people in the world of do-it-yourself are aware of.
Interesting. Now it's make me more looking forward to the show. Thanks for Queen Elizabeth.
Right. R.I.P.
The 8. Yeah. All right. So, what did you rank it?
9th.
Oh, really? I ranked it 8.
Why are you so surprised that I ranked it 9th when you put it 8th?
Because you sound so enthusiastic about doing it yourself. I thought you put it, above Bocchi the Rock.
Oh no, are you kidding? Bocchi the Rock, I'm hyped for, man. Do it yourself. I'll probably keep watching at least for a little while, but not that big on it. I mean, I was mostly gonna watch it for the art, and as I went into unnecessary detail about earlier, it doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. I think the show's fine. I think it probably has a lot of potential to be, kind of like heartwarming, entertaining, just fun.
Yeah. I gonna be it for Juliet Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
The 8.
An extra reason to watch.
All right. The next one gonna be Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury.
Right. New Gundam. It's been a while.
And I watched the prologue.
Right. So did I. So we've both seen the prologue and the first episode, I guess.
That's right. And like I told Whooper before the podcast, I actually enjoy the prologue more than what actually happened in the first episodes.
For me, it's the opposite. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the visuals.
I agree.
There's just more color, in the first episode.
I love the color in the first episode. It just looks so well integrated into the world. Yeah. It's just the setting that I'm not that sure about, like compared to the prologue.
Well, this might change your mind. Have you seen the parallels between Witch from Mercury and another very famous anime that have been making the rounds online? The comparisons that people are drawing.
no. I didn't follow that.
Okay, well, let
So
me describe the plot of, or the story so far, I guess the premise of
I
Witch from Mercury to you, and you tell me what anime this sounds like.
yep,
There's a female student who
yep.
enrolls at a school where there are duels
All
to
right.
determine who will
Utena.
be. Yes, exactly. People are drawing
All right.
comparisons between. I mean, there's even a scene at a greenhouse, like there is in the
Right.
first episode of
Become
Utena.
a pride thing as
Yeah,
well.
the person who wins the duel wins the hand in marriage of the Rose Bride. So this series is
I
taking
uh
inspiration from Utena, most likely.
yeah, I must say though, if you compare this show to Utena, it's gonna be a a pushback for for this one because nothing can surpass Utena
Well,
in
I mean,
terms
we're
of
only one episode into Witch from Mercury,
all right, yep,
and it's
that's fair
already
enough.
pretty gay.
That's fair enough.
I think Utena took a while to be. I mean, Utena was eventually pretty gay as well, but it took a
Yeah.
while. Witch from Mercury is already like, oh, they don't have like women can't marry each other on Mercury. You guys are really backwards. That's really common here.
Yep.
I don't know how serious the show is about that. I guess we'll find out if we keep watching. But I like it on a conceptual level. You know, I'm not really particularly fond of any of the characters. I think Suleta, the main character, her name is Suleta, right? The red-haired girl.
Suleta
Yeah,
Mercury. All right.
right.
Yep.
Suleta Mercury. I feel she's kind of, I don't know, like all her stuttering is kind of annoying. Uh,
It's
I don't
yep.
think the performance is very good, honestly, like
That's
from
true.
the actor.
Uh-huh.
But I like the idea, like that she's a transfer student from another planet. Like Mercury is considered a backwater planet, and she's coming in here with her insane robot skills in this really unique Gundam, which I guess they're called in this Gundu Armu or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a bunch of Gundam series that are set in alternate universes,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them use different terminology. Um, so there's always like recognizable elements that define a Gundam series, like the designs of the robots or the fact that Hado, um, that little spherical robot with the two kind of ovular eyes, is in pretty much every Gundam series, and he's in this one as well. But he's part of like a drone that flies around campus and stuff.
Huh.
Um,
Can he talk?
he can, yeah, he can. I know he talks like this. He kind of has a voice that sounds like this in
All
the
right.
original show,
Okay.
and I can't
All right.
remember exactly what it sounds like in this series. But
Right. Okay.
yeah, that's Hado,
Yep.
which is hello. It means hello.
All right. Cool.
I don't know why I
Yep.
started talking about that. What was I saying?
Yeah. You mentioning about him. Like hanging around the school.
Oh yeah, just that there are always recognizable elements of the mainline Gundams in every alternate universe Gundam. But in this one, there's like Gundarm, um, which is apparently the kind of robot that she has. Anyway, the robot
Right.
is cool looking, and the
Yep.
animation's pretty slick. And she's got a lot to prove as a student from another planet, and she's coming in here and injecting herself into this like political situation slash romantic situation, and there's going to be duels between a bunch of the students. I just think that's a kind of a
Yeah.
cool idea.
The political thing we not know for sure, except if we watch the prologue.
Right.
Because the episode is more about like her getting they're used to the new rules of the school, and that has to be with like dealing and like claiming the pride in the process.
Right.
Is it the pride or is it the partner or something? What term did they use?
I can't remember. I mean, bride, right? Because
Yeah.
it's about marriage. Like if you're the holder, so to speak,
Yeah.
that's the term that they use. I think then you have the right to marry whatever this. I can't remember her name.
Miorine.
Yes, that's right. Right. Murina. You have the right to
Yeah.
marry her. She's just going to get sold off by her dad to whoever
That
wins the most duels or holds
yeah.
the current title whenever she reaches marrying age. I don't really,
Yeah. That
it
doesn't make
doesn't make a
sense,
lot of
but
sense, but I like the idea just broadly.
yeah. And actually the battle is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
It looks slick,
Yeah, the
and
scene like there are transforming elements to her Gundam,
yeah.
and they look great. Like they can turn into a shield or into a bunch of individual laser cannons, and yeah,
Yeah.
it looks awesome.
Yep. And that's the thing. If you compare that to Utena, that's Sibit. He act exactly like that green hair guy in Utena as well.
Yeah, what
And
was the green hair guy's name? Was it Sionji?
uh, I have I don't remember honestly.
Yeah,
I'm bad with name, but yeah. Well,
yeah, but he also his general attitude is another Utena parallel, and there will probably be more.
okay. Huh. Okay. Now I'm actually kind of interested to see more of it because of the parallel with Utena to
That's what I'm
see
saying.
this. Well.
And I mean, she's obviously some sort of prodigy, Suleta, because you see her piloting a mobile suit when she's like 4 years old in the prologue, which I thought was pretty stupid, honestly. Uh, but we know a little bit about her history and what's happened to her family, and as a result of the events in the prologue.
Yeah.
Apparently, her mom's still alive because she makes reference to the fact that. I mean, I think you can glean that from the dialogue that
Yeah.
her mom has sent her here to the school.
I don't think she remember that much from that far back.
That's very possible that she like wasn't
Yeah.
forming memories yet, or that she blocked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that her mom is. It's possible that her mom is like using her as a tool of revenge
Yeah.
against the financial group
Yeah.
that has kind of like seized hold of the mobile suit industry in this future.
Yep. That possible. So yeah,
In
we
fact,
will
now that I
see.
say that out loud, that's nearly a guarantee, isn't it? Don't you think that
Nah,
the mom is
not
like
really.
using her daughter to take revenge for the death of her husband?
Not really. She might just be like you need to be equipped of like of all these fighting and stuff. So that's why I put you into school. You
Like
try
the
to
mom
figure
from
it out.
Cyberpunk.
Maybe, maybe yes.
So we're gonna see her die like randomly and pointlessly.
Yeah, because they don't have the money. That's possible.
Right. I mean, she is from what's considered like a hick planet, so
Yeah,
not a lot of money on Mercury. Perhaps could be kind of like a cyberpunk situation.
yeah. We will see. We will see.
Yep.
So yeah, I put it 9 out of 10.
For me, it was number 4.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. The next one is I would say one of the biggest one of the season. Mob Psycho 100, the final season.
Yep. And it's
Is
actually
it?
going to be the final season, unlike a
Is
certain
it?
other franchise that continually labels its
For 3 years.
its other seasons, its non-final seasons, the final season.
Pack 1.
Right. Only that's not.
two.
It doesn't say the final season part 1. It just says the final season. Yeah, Mob
Yep.
Psycho. This is. I mean, I haven't read the manga, but people who are in the know and who have read the comic
Yep.
know that this is going to be the last one because there's not going to be enough material for anything after this.
All right. Cool.
And I think it's off to a pretty good start.
I would say first that I think Mob Psycho 100 it's have like a like a level. It really consistent,
Yes.
and this one is very consistent, and like we check back to like all the story bit, and like check back to Mob as a main characters. His like his main concerns that he doesn't know what to do in the future. I just feel that comparing to the first episode of the second season, it just that one took take the cake.
Yeah, that's true. That episode did have that amazing scene where he puts back together
The
the pages of whatever
yep,
script that girl had
yep,
written.
yep. That's right.
I don't think this episode had anything quite on that level.
That exactly it.
But like you say, it is consistent, and I think that's because it kind of has a template set for itself. Like,
Mhm.
we after a big battle, we check in with Mob. We see what's going on with him at school and at home.
And
Something,
work.
right at work too. Yeah, that comes later.
Yep,
But we see that something is happening at school that's causing him to feel like pressured and unsure of himself, and he kind of works through that over the course of the episode a little bit.
yep,
Because the case that they have where they go to exorcise the spirit at that guy's house, the guy who is blaming all the unfortunate events that have happened to him on
yep.
a spirit.
Uh-huh.
And both he and Serizawa, who was one of the antagonist from the previous season, he was like a mini boss kind of. He now works for Reagan, and the two of them are like, "Oh man, this hits way too close to home. What if I end up
I
being like this guy?"
Yeah, I honestly don't remember that guy until
Really?
yeah, it took me a while
Oh, I
to
very, very clearly remember him because the conversation that he and Mob have, while they're fighting,
yeah.
made Serizawa a much better antagonist, in my opinion, than the actual main bad guy from season 2. I thought Serizawa
Uh,
was way more interesting. He was one of my favorite characters.
yep. All right.
Yeah, and both he and Mob are fearful that this guy like represents their future, but
Yep. Yep.
Reagan has some encouraging words for Mob at the end. Just
Ye-
don't worry too
I
much. Take your time. You're gonna find something and it's okay if you don't want to work here for the rest of your life. You're gonna find something that you love and that you're good at. Um,
I yeah, I completely fun to Reagan and Mob relationship because like at first we always see Reagan as like kind of selfish man who like who swindle away, who try to like cheat other people,
mhm.
and then keep using Mob power as well, and we see some of that in these episodes. But then at the end, it just like come back to like he genuinely want Mob to like, to improve himself and to be his own person,
Yep.
and that take everything, and it just feels so warm the way that like he say that to Mob.
Hmm.
So yeah, this episode really nailed it on that.
Yeah. It does nail it, and I think that is because it has a formula for itself, and it
Yep.
it nails it every time.
Yep.
We even get to see 2 of Reagan's special attacks, which are laid out exactly the same way they were in past seasons, where he makes that big declaration, and then all the huge bits of like calligraphy come bum 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 onto the screen.
Yep. Yep.
And then the narrator comes on to explain exactly what Reagan's special attack does. It's just when he did the first one where he like uses the grain of rice to stick the arm back onto the statue that Serizawa breaks.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, I forgot that the show did this. This is so great.
Yep.
It really did feel like kind of familiar and comfortable, like to watch a new episode of Mob and see and be reminded of all the stuff that it's done in the past.
Yeah, that's true. And we have something going on as well as Ekubo. He's scheming something.
Right. So the thing about the broccoli is interesting to me, and this is one of the reasons why I really like this episode, is because even though it does feel familiar, it also, it's
Yeah.
not just, oh hey everybody, welcome back. There is a sense of where we're going from here. We don't know what Ekubo is gonna do with the
Yep.
broccoli, and when he says his time has arrived, we don't know what that
Yep.
means.
Yep.
But we do know that the broccoli is like significant in some way because people are starting to like build a weird
Worship.
cult or religion around it and worship it.
Yep.
Yeah, and the journalism girl at Mob School like wants to get in on that action and kind of tie it together with the helmet head cult that she built around Mob.
Yep.
So there's something sinister about this giant broccoli, that we're
And
kind of
about
clued into, like not exactly directly in this episode, but we understand that there is a way forward narratively.
Yep. and Ekubo intention as well, because he used to be a leader of a cult himself.
Right, and the fact that people are starting to worship this broccoli means that this is like familiar territory for him, perhaps.
Yep, yep,
If
yep.
he could use the situation to his advantage to get back to the same position he was at before.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that because he's been a pretty benign character for a while now, ever since Mob exorcised him in the first season. I don't think he's done anything particularly like villainous.
Yep, he did do some small skin into to Mob, but like his power is just not compared to Mob, and he knows that.
Right.
So that's why he following Mob along.
Yeah, but
And,
now he's tempted to go back to his old ways maybe.
Yeah,
It's just
but
it's very intriguing cuz you see
That's-
that there's something there but you don't know exactly what it is, you know.
yeah, that's right, and he kind of fun of Mob as well. So it's kind of interesting to see like how he wants to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, I just feel like this episode like the action, like the something that really stand out, like the emotion resonance from the that moment that you just mentioned in the first episode of the the second season,
Right.
or like some of the big action scene that like completely blow you away, like in some of many of its action scenes.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
those have to be coming, you know.
yeah, that's true.
Those
that's true.
those have got to be coming up.
Yep, yep. So yeah, I enjoy tapping back into this world, and this is being this final season gonna like gonna get uh a weight, like it have to be carried all the way that we seen in this few season so far. I hope it nail it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's gonna do it. It one show from the entire season that like I'm sure gonna keep up with its quality is Mob.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yep. So as for this episode alone, I put it 5th out of 10.
For me it's number 1.
Cool. Yep, we do have many different opinion in regard to ranking.
Yeah.
The next one is Popping Epic.
Yeah, I don't mind if we discuss this one very quickly cuz we're low on time.
All right, cool.
I don't know. I mean, I have
But-
stuff to say about it, but I don't mind if we just like breeze through it real fast cuz I know you're not a Pop Team Epic guy.
No, it's alright. I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed the second segment better than the first one, basically because
I'm very surprised to hear you say that.
because we hear we listen to the two main characters via old man voice.
Yeah,
and
and
it's-
in general, I do think that it's funnier when you get to the second half of each episode and they're, the characters are voiced by men, despite being middle school girls.
yeah.
And
I do love the post credit scenes where they like I think they improvise.
Yeah.
They
in fact,
it-
I'm not even convinced that they know that they're being recorded.
oh
It's possible that those are just like, like hidden
Yeah.
microphone moments or
yeah.
they turn off the light in the recording booth that indicates when the mic is on, so they say the mic isn't hot anymore, but they're actually still recording secretly. I don't know.
That-
I mean, I could be
make it
wrong,
more fun. Yeah, that make it more fun.
but the reason I'm so surprised to hear you say that is because the two voice actresses from the first half are from Haruhi. They're Haruhi and Yuki's
Oh shit!
voice actresses.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
And that's why during the little moment, at the end of the first half of the episode when it's the two of them being like, "Oh, Sashiburi, it's been so long. We haven't worked together in so long." It's the two
Wow.
women from the cast of Haruhi, or two of
Oh,
them, I
wow.
should say.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the fun of Pop Team Epic is figuring out what the link is between, because they tend to pick voice actors who have worked together on some major property,
Yep.
and they pair them together in each half.
Yep.
So for the two guys, Kazuhiko Inoue and Ryo Horikawa, they were both in Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
That long ago.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's right. That's why they said like we this is one of the my role in a while. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have any role before that, and I consider that is I have to voice a high school girl.
Right. Yeah, that's Aya Hirano because she shortly after her success with Haruhi, she got in like a bunch of controversy and she didn't get a lot of voice roles after that. But I guess somebody gave her a call and was like, "Hey, we would really love for you to do this weird, shitty anime."
No, I was mentioning about the two old dudes.
Oh yeah.
When you said about that,
Right.
Jeez, that's fun. And I just think that the main thing lacking in this episode is that they not implementing with all the animation type, because I remember like the last season they sometimes they do it in stop motion, they sometimes they do it in like completely different art style.
Right.
This one we have like a prism of like the live action in the beginning.
Yes, with Aoi Shota.
I have no idea who that is.
He's a famous singer in Japan. But the interesting thing is that both in Pop Team Epic and in Gal and Dino, there have been a bunch of live action segments with Aoi Shota, and they've all told a story. Like whatever the story of this weird tokusatsu series is, where there's like a shadow version of himself from another dimension and there's time travel and stuff. It's a story that is like continuous through both Pop Team Epic and Gal and Dino. And it doesn't like, you can't really tell what the plot is or anything, but it's just very amusing to me that Aoki Jun, who directed both series, just feels like telling a story, a tokusatsu time travel series with Aoi Shota as the lead, and he just put them into both of these shows just because he could. That's the sort of spirit that I really love about this show. It just does whatever it wants.
Yep. I enjoy it. I enjoy like the song, the voice acting in particular, and and just the way that the two of them do whatever like they can think of. It's random, but it's random.
It's true that we haven't seen like the Hell Shake Yano flip book animation yet. We haven't seen the 3D CG yet. We haven't seen any like puppetry, stop motion, anything like that. I would guess that it's coming. I don't know for sure, but we did get Pop Team Epic B-side, where the characters are kind of rendered in a parody of shoujo style.
Right. Yep.
And they reenact the skit from the very first episode where Popoko punches Pipimi and asks, "Are you mad?" Okota. They reenacted it, but made it like vaguely sensual, which I thought was hilarious. They did that, and of course, Babu Nemimi came back with that hideously ugly, weird animation where the characters are like there's a bunch of layers to them and they're not coordinated in any way. I have a soft spot for those little segments just because they make no sense at all. So I had a great time watching this whole episode twice essentially.
So we're waiting for more. I put it 6 out of 10.
Me number 2.
Cool. All right, the next one is Spy Family Pack 2.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like the show ever left.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't really feel like this is like the starter episode of like it's more of like the sequels. It's more of like episode 13, like rather than
right. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a sequel. It just feels like a continuation.
Yeah, that's true. And actually it but I do understand why it put like this episode as the introduction to another new member of the Fortune families, and it's a dog.
Right.
Yeah. I have a pretty fun time, like knowing, like the dog ability and like his personality as well.
Yeah, Borf is his personality. He says Borf a lot. Borf. Borf.
Well, he he's standing up for Anya, trying to protect her until like the other guy just like pulled the guns and he got scared.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
The show kind of tricks you into thinking that he's really brave, but nope, not really. He's kind of similar to Anya, I feel.
Yeah.
Like he kind of has a big personality in some moments, but then something will like scare him or shock him or take him by surprise, and he'll be kind of like helpless and like stunned, And if he
Yeah.
had eyes, I'm sure they would go really huge with little tiny teeny pupils, like Anya's do.
Talking about shock. And yeah, it's like in the episode somebody said shock.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh god.
I think the main purpose of the dog is basically just so that Anya can see the future.
That exactly it. And like I don't I just don't see like the dog, like having why the dog know Anya having the abilities once again. I have no idea why the dog can figure out Anya have that ability to read his mind.
I don't think the dog does know that.
All right.
I think Anya can just read its mind, but the dog sees the future.
Yep. All right.
So,
Yep.
you put their powers together, and it lets Anya see the future, and that's basically going to be the dog's role. Is Anya will be able to predict the future by reading the dog's mind, and so that's basically just a writer's device, as far as I can tell.
I don't mind that. I actually have a great fun this episode because all the main characters had like some really badass moment. Lloyd had to like had to be away to do some of the spy work. He had to
To impersonate the leader of the bombers.
yeah, that's right. And you're like in the moment of freaking out because Anya had disappeared. He just like jumped into the roof to have like the bird eye view of the whole building and to compose herself. I just thought that moment was so cool. And of course the dog and Anya.
Yeah.
So
The dog, of course.
yeah,
They're gonna adopt him. He'll be part of the family, and
he's goofy. He's just like the rest of the family, and I like it.
yeah, all of them do have like a little element of cartooniness to their personalities. I kind of felt that in this episode, like all the characters have their traits. Like Lloyd always wants to be an ideal company man. Yor always gets herself into situations where she feels kind of like out of her depth, and then she has to resort to like being cold and calculating to get herself out of it. Anya being, we don't even need
curious.
Anya being curious and like shock and mischievous. I feel like the show has all these characters figured out like down to a T, and I'm kind of like, based on this episode, I'm kind of worried a little bit that it doesn't want to leave like the safety of its current situation, because they're all it's figured out who all the characters are individually and as a family, and it doesn't really want to push it too much. And that's fine. I'm not trying to tell the author of Spy Family what to do or anything, but at some point in the future, it has to leave that comfortable bubble. And this episode, at least, really doesn't give any indication that it's going to do that anytime soon.
Yeah, it's more, like it will become more of like a sitcom where like everything is like rather one note. We have like a mission where like it gonna resolve everything. We don't get to see anything news. I think I get what you mean.
Yeah, and I like sitcoms. But I'm okay with there being sitcom elements of Spy Family. That's part of why the first core was like, so enjoyable. I just don't want it to stay a sitcom forever or I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be like 75% sitcom. I'd rather there be a balance. But even that balance is so hard to achieve because I mean, you're like kills people for a living. It's just
Yep.
the show's on
Yep.
a tightrope, and it walks it very well. But
So far,
it
yep.
is it. I do get curious about like what are they going to do when like a strong gust of wind comes when they're on the tightrope. What's going to happen
Yep.
then?
Yep. I agree with you on that. This episode alone, I really have fun watching it. Especially, I think the moment that really kill me is the one where the dog, Anya ride the dog,
Right.
to escape the terrorists, and it turned out that the dog is just like walking, running in circles.
Yeah. He has like no sense of direction.
And it just catch up with the terrorists.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a really good comedic idea.
yeah.
I would have liked if it were shot a little bit differently, I think.
Right.
But I mean, the idea itself is just perfect because it also allows Yor to catch up with them, and save her daughter in awesome fashion.
And yep, and Anya reaction just so perfect that like it. I happy to look aside all these other things.
She's going to be Starlight Anya again.
Yep. So yep, really have a fun time watching the episode, and I agree with you that it need to do something more. Like it need to shake the whole formula in order to like draw out to milk on these characters. But yeah, at the same time, I still be happy if it's gonna stay like this because I still enjoy basically like all the elements that make it so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So for Spy and Family, I put it third out of 10.
All right, for me, 7th.
So yep, we might agree on the last two those. Oh, we not actually. All right, let's go with Tatami Tam Machine Blues.
Yeah, I think we pretty much already know what the deal is with these two, in terms of the
Yeah.
numbers we've attached to them.
Yeah,
Tatami Time Machine Blues has a lot
Yeah.
to live up to, man.
I know, but the thing is, you wasn't wow about the galaxy things, the Tatami galaxies, even before watching this, right?
I mean, I still enjoy it a lot.
Yep.
I just don't. My second watch through of it, I just didn't,
Yeah,
didn't like it as
From-
much. I didn't admire it as much.
yeah.
But I mean,
From-
still, the stature of that original series. I mean that was
That's true.
made a lot of people stand up and take notice.
Yeah.
Of like what anime could do that it hadn't already done. It was something completely new. So just in that sense alone, this show has a lot to live up to. But it does feel very familiar.
It feels very familiar. It's still. I just want to say that the Tatami Galaxy is still one of my 10 favorite show of all time. So yeah, for me, it's had to be like really, it's had a lot to live up to it. And like you, I just feel like it feels familiar. We see like all these characters from the first seasons. We see like now they team up together, and we get a very very good cliffhanger at the end.
Yeah, the cliffhanger is interesting, and it's very appropriate as well because it
Yeah.
answers a lot of the questions that are formed in your mind as you watch this episode. Some of the inconsistencies, especially the way
Yeah.
that it opens up with Watashi coming back to the apartment and him not being on the same page as anyone else. Like they're all saying, "Okay, are you ready to do the naked dance for this last scene of the movie we're filming?" And he has no idea what they're talking about. But that's because they're all caught in some sort of strange time loop, or he is in that particular instance, or perhaps it's not him, but everyone else is.
Yeah.
It's hard to know exactly what's happening temporally.
Mhm. Yep,
There's also
yep.
the question of like what is the dental hygienist's name? It starts with an H. Hazuki or Hanuki or
Which one? Sorry.
the dental hygienist.
Hanuki.
Hanuki, yeah.
Yep.
There's a question towards the end of like what she knows about the status of the movie that's being shot.
Yeah, that's right.
They're like between she and Akashi. Is it
Yep.
her the raven-haired maiden's name is Akashi, right?
Akashi. Yep.
She Hanoki and Akashi don't really seem to like they're kind of talking past each other and not understanding each other in that one scene towards the end.
Yep.
It's just it's very curious, you know. It's kind of
Yep.
perplexing. But the
Yep.
appearance, yes, the appearance of the time machine does, you know, at least temporarily answer some of those questions. And you're like, oh, I see what the idea is now. But
I
still, it's not like this first episode is not a complete story. It's definitely leading into something bigger.
Yeah, that's right. And I just feel that the time machine, the design, is taking direct inspiration from Doraemon. I don't know if it's like on the show, like if you look at that, would you think of it as a time machine?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a time machine because the show says that it is. It doesn't look like a conventional one, but I think the reason it looks like that is because the time machine is built on top of a tatami mat.
All right, yep, yep. I think it's take the direct inspiration from Doraemon then, because the time machine in Doraemon is from the shell, the bookshelf.
Oh, you're right. I just Googled and you're right. That's definitely. It's even got the
It,
seat right there in
yep.
the middle.
It just look exactly the same. So
Yeah.
I would say that's why everyone in this show realize that it's a time machine.
Right. Man, I really need to watch Doraemon.
It's a fun show.
At least like get a few episodes under my belt, maybe watch one or two of the movies in order to understand it because I'm sure that there have been hundreds of Doraemon references that have flown over my head.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
in
I
all the
think that.
hundreds of anime that I've seen.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, I
think
just
that's
looked
true.
at you're completely right.
And
It's
right,
I think it's very cute that the time machine looks like that.
it is.
And it's appropriate that
Uh,
it's on a tatami mat because it creates the link
yep.
to the namesake of the show.
And I agree with what you said that it feel appropriate, but I feel it's appropriate more as a team as well, because the first season of the Tatami Galaxy is also about the like the main character Rige, so that he can like repeat the timeline. So this one they play around the timeline again, but on the bigger levels. So it's that they can literally come back to time and maybe like change the past.
Right.
So I think thematically it's still like pretty much a Tatami Galaxy, like wheelhouse, and yeah. How do you think about the visual? It's look different than the first season.
I mean, it definitely looks different, but you can tell that a lot of care was put into making it look similar.
Yeah.
Um, the the use of patterns on like trees, especially whenever there's an outdoor scene,
Yep.
and there's like a shot of a bunch of trees in the background. They're all kind of silhouetted, and they have a pattern placed on top of them. Makes them look
Yep.
very distinctive in the way that they did in Tatami Galaxy as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. Love that too.
there are many scenes like especially when it goes into Watashi's head or his imagination and he's narrating something where the characters look slightly deformed and they have like orange skin and
Yep.
no
Yep.
line work
Yep.
surrounding
Yep.
them.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was
Yep.
something that the Tatami Galaxy did pretty often if I remember correctly as a way of differentiating between what Watashi was imagining and what he was actually experiencing. So that's also similar. The animation style is pretty similar as well. Like it's everything feels a little bit disconnected. Like
Hmm.
there's not a lot of in betweens being drawn for some actions. Like especially whenever Ozu does anything, he's
Yep.
like a very chaotic character. So none of his movements are very smooth.
Yep.
Um, I'm thinking especially of the fight scene, like or the little squabble between Ozu and Watashi, where they're both just like immediately teleporting into different poses, where they're kind of punching and kicking each other.
Yep. Yep.
That kind of reminded me of Tatami Galaxy as well. A little bit of Yuasa energy coming
Yep.
through, even though he's not attached to this project.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
So yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I thought there were a lot of visual similarities.
Yep. I feel the same, but especially the way that they keep the original design. I think that this is like the design is easy to draw, but very distinctive. So yeah, it easier for them to keep the character design, but it's not as hectic as the original season, especially like the Tatami Galaxy always have like uh, the overload of colors. This one they don't have that.
Right.
I think it's for the better though.
You
So
think so?
yeah, I'm pretty good with what we have so far here.
Hmm. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
it's true that it's a little. It's not as bright. Like it's a little
Yeah.
more desaturated. I maybe, huh?
Yeah. What do you think? Because
I'm
you don't
I'm
seem to
thinking
agree with
about
me.
it. I don't know if I like that choice or not because this is set in summer, and I mean the way that
Right.
the entire series, or at least this season of it, or whatever this is, because apparently, I mean, this is not really a sequel to the
Mhm.
Tatami Galaxy. This is an adaptation of a play that is using Tatami Galaxy's characters.
Oh, wow, right.
I mean, I can't tell you exactly who wrote the original play and
Is it
what
is it not is it not Momori to
it is.
do?
It's written by him, but I think the play that it's based on was written by somebody else. I think the play
Right.
that it's based on was written by the screenwriter of the Tatami Galaxy anime, who
Huh.
collaborated with the novelist of Tatami Galaxy in
All
order
right.
to like combine their ideas for Tatami Time Machine Blues. I don't know
Mm.
if I have that exactly right, but that's what I read somewhere
Yep.
online, and I'm pretty sure that that information is like easily accessible, like ANN or Wikipedia or something.
All right.
But I'm
Just
think what? What's up?
yeah. Sorry. Just a quick check. Just a quick check. And that guy who write the screenplay for the Tatami Galaxy. He attached to all of his work from the novelist. So he been writing Highway. The Night is Short Walker Girls, other shows, and surprisingly Rilakuma.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the new one, the new season.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So interesting. All right,
Yeah.
just keep going with your thoughts.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but I mean,
to
this
cut you
is
off.
so basically the gist of it is that this is not a direct sequel.
Right.
But that was just like a. I just started talking about that for no reason. What I wanted to
Yep. Yep.
say was that the way that Tatami Time Machine Blues introduces itself is it's summertime, and it's
Uh-huh.
like punishingly hot, and they need the air conditioner to work,
Yep.
but it doesn't because
Yep.
they spill cola on the remote.
Yep.
So right off the bat, the fact that it's summer vacation, and that it's boiling hot is like kind of sets the tone for all of Watashi's narration.
Mhm.
Because he always goes on like long digressions about stuff, and he spends so much time talking about how hot it is uh,
Yep.
in
Yep.
this first episode. So the fact that it's so hot, I wonder, like the fact that it's not as colorful
Yep.
as Tatami Galaxy, I wonder if the point is that the heat is like so oppressive that it kind of dulls the senses.
Huh. I feel more as like because of the device in the first episode. The first episode is sorry, the first season is more of like all the choices that he want to make to enjoy his rose color
Right.
life.
Rose-colored
So
campus life. Yeah. So the
yeah,
brightness, trying to secure a bright future for yourself is kind of the point.
yeah, and like each color is like its timeline that he choose. So this one they don't have that mechanic. So that's why I think it's more like monotone
Hmm.
compared to the first season.
I think there's also like there's a little bit more realism in
Right.
this
Yep.
new anime. Like the designs I feel are a little less. Um,
Experimenting.
yeah, they're a little bit more. I don't know. There's just more dedication to realism. Like for example, Jogasaki in particular. The way that he walks
Yep.
is he has a little bit more swagger in the Tatami Galaxy. Like when he walks, his whole torso is kind of moving back and forth in an exaggerated motion. Whereas in this one,
Yep.
his form and his musculature are a
Yep.
little bit more realistic, and he walks he strides a bit more than he swaggers.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I feel in
I
general the way that the characters are drawn and the way they move, it's a little more real.
Yep.
Um,
But
So yeah, there's slight differences, and part of that has to do with the fact that Yuasa's gone and Natsume is directing now, and
yep.
there's probably a bunch of new staff members as well. It's at a different studio and everything, but
Yep.
yeah, it's
Um,
interesting to spot the differences and to speculate about why those choices may have been made.
yeah, that's right. And remember, like in the first season, we have remember like there's one point where Watashi, walking on the street and he saw Jogasaki, like getting drunk with all these guys, and we see him at first like like he was sitting in like a box where other carrying him around. Remember that scene? You
No,
know what
I don't
I
have that
reference?
sort of recall.
Yeah.
Like I can't figure that out.
So it just feels like he's a king and other people just carry him around.
Oh, was he on like a palanquin?
Yeah. That one. When he talked to Watashi, and then later on, like at the end of their conversation, we see that like it instead he just drunk, and people and his friends just carrying him around. So like the first moment that Watashi saw him in that thing, were just like pack of the imagination from Watashi about
Right.
the impression that he got from Chogasaki.
Yeah.
This season we don't have that. Sorry, this episode alone we don't have that. We don't have that exaggeration.
Yeah. And we don't. I mean, because that would have been like a representation of Watashi's like opinion of him.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's
So
true. Like in this new, there's some dialogue or some narration, I should say, because we're in Watashi's head for the like the
Yep.
first part of this episode.
Yep.
And I think there's some narration establishing where exactly we are in the timeline of Tatami Galaxy or of this universe. Like what he says, we're in summer vacation, but is it possible that they're not first years anymore? I can't remember.
he is the final year at the moment.
He's in his final year of college, so there have been
Yep.
multiple years since the Tatami Galaxy, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, yeah. So
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I remember he said that because he had to secure like 2 years in order to get that room, because that room is the only room that had the air condition.
Right, and the air conditioner is like legendary, and it's coveted by everybody in that apartment building. Yeah, and he's in a new apartment
Yep.
now. He's in a new building. But is it still 4.5 Tatami mats?
It still is.
Yeah, I
Oh,
thought
my
it
memory,
was.
Yep.
So the fact that there's been so much time since the Tatami Galaxy, and especially like we were like locked into Watashi's point of view in the Tatami Galaxy. He was inside his own head, literally at the end. When he was like going through all the different rooms in the last few episodes of Tatami Galaxy, I have to imagine that he was, that was meant to represent his mental state.
Yep.
But now it's a little bit more like kind of collaborative. The other characters have more say; they have more personality. They contribute a little bit more to each conversation, and it's not ruled quite so much by Watashi's point of view. And like you said, his bias in picturing Jogasaki on a palanquin being carried by all his minions.
Yep.
We don't. Maybe the reason we don't have scenes like that anymore is because he's become a little bit more mature, a little bit more sociable.
Yep. And he know the real Jogasaki as well. So
Right. Yeah. He doesn't just see him as like the embodiment of, I don't know, like the
popular guys.
like the popular
The king.
sort of attractive, like masculine person that Watashi thinks that he could never be. Now he sees Yogasaki as somebody who's a little bit more human and more approachable, even though they still disagree
Yep.
about a lot of stuff. There's some tension between them in this first episode.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Love all that.
yeah, it's very, very interesting stuff.
Yep.
I mean, to be honest, while I was watching this episode, I wasn't really into it. That doesn't mean I didn't like it, but I was not absorbed in it by any means. It was more like I was studying it.
Right.
The whole time I was watching it, I was just studying it. And that's, I mean, I feel like a lot of people probably feel that way when they watch Tatami Galaxy or Time Machine Blues, because it is such a fast-moving and densely layered work. It might feel a little bit like you're kind of studying while you're watching. I personally had that experience with this episode, so I did like it, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't into it.
For me, it's just like meeting up these old friends again. So
See,
I really
you say that, but you also say that about Bakemonogatari. So I don't know if I can trust that.
Why? Yep. So, well, they are my friends. So I just have I just have a blast. Like seeing them again, and seeing them in this new situation. So yep. All good for me.
I mean that's great, because that's the test, right? For this episode. Are fans of Tatami Galaxy gonna feel good about watching? Gonna feel like it's familiar, or are they gonna get hung up on differences? I don't think the reception. A lot of people probably aren't even aware that this is out.
Right.
Because it's on Disney Plus, and beyond that, just because not a lot of people are talking about it, but it is here, and it seems to be pretty good.
Yeah,
so hopefully it'll continue to be good going forward.
And personally, I will wait until all of this come out to watch it all at once.
It is all out. All 6 episodes are out.
Oh, is it? Even episode 6?
Yes, even the original episode 6, which is not part of the movie version. They're all out.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, Tatami Time Machine Blues was originally conceived as a film.
Right.
So the 6 episodes, it's 6 episodes long. So the 6th one is original. It's not part of the movie. The other 5 episodes are the film, Tatami Time Machine Blues, split into 5 pieces.
All right. So the 6th is the extra.
Right.
Oh.
The 6th, I think, is completely original. So it was written specifically for TV, as opposed to the rest of the other 5 episodes, which are adaptations of the play.
All right. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so all 6 episodes are out. You can watch them all now, and it'll probably benefit from being watched, all at once, because like this first episode, it's clear there's more, right? Like you can't watch this first episode and be like, man, that was great, I'm satisfied. You can't do that, because the nature of the time loop that they're in, or however that's going to be resolved, they haven't even started to dig into it yet.
Yep.
All we know so far is that there is a time machine, and there are two Ozus. So I have to imagine, like, for example, in the scene where Watashi comes back to his apartment and finds everyone waiting for him to shoot this naked dance or whatever, in that instant, there were probably 2 Watashis in that world. And the one who we followed back to his apartment is perhaps one who has time traveled back in time and perhaps lost his memory of having done so, or something like that.
It's the opposite. So the guy who time travel, who he did all this arrangement and promised to do the naked monkey dance.
Oh,
and then he disappeared to do something else, and the poor guy from the present time come back to his apartment to find that he got himself a deal of which he never aware of.
Right. So he's the real one.
He's the real one.
Okay. I mean, that makes a lot more sense, but we don't know. We don't know for sure. I will eventually probably get a scene where we see all that play out. We see the arrangement of the naked dance happen in the past, or perhaps it's the future. based on your perspective. I don't know.
Yep. I love time travel stories, so I'm very much up for this.
All right.
I'm ready.
You're so ready that you ranked it number 1. Is that right?
Yeah, of course.
For me, it was number 6.
Oh, I thought it was number two.
No, I
Oh,
gave number 2 to Pop Team Epic.
jeez. All right. At least we agree on the last note. Let's
Yeah,
go
I
with
think
that.
it's the only one where we gave the same number.
Yep.
And that number is 10, last.
The last
0.
Urusei Yatsura. And to be honest, I think I enjoyed the episode more than what Pooper did, because we all did the review on the website for Urusei Yatsura, so we basically know about each other's opinion, and I still
Yep.
have a good time watching it.
I thought it was all right.
Yep.
I
Yep.
have seen, so it's not like I'm an expert on Urusei Yatsura. I've seen 24 episodes of
Wow.
the original TV series, but that's 24 out of 195.
All right.
So just a
Did
drop
that-
in the bucket. Plus, I haven't seen like Lum the Forever or Beautiful Dreamer or any of the films.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask. The movie is based on the manga as well, or is that like the original content?
It's original.
All right.
The movies are original. I don't know if all of them are, but the ones that Oshii directed are. So those would be
Alright.
that would be the first 2.
And this one is a reboot
Yeah, it's-
from the manga.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
reboot, and
Yep.
both of these
Alright.
stories were familiar to me because I saw them both already. The one
Yep.
where Lum's people invade Earth, I'd already seen, and the one where the the Bermuda Triangle is created by the cell signals.
Yep.
I'd already seen that as well.
All right.
So I don't. It's okay. Like, it was all right, but
All right. I would say it's visual wise, it's all right. It actually look good to me. I just get a kick out of just watching this, like 80s design. It look a bit like Dutch, It's something like in the past where we're not even born yet.
the characters are a little bit more. They're a little shorter than modern anime characters are. They're a little bit more round. Like, their features are
Yep.
more rounded.
Yeah.
Their
Yep,
eyes are a
yep.
little bit smaller.
I-
Their eyes are big, but like their pupils are a little smaller. Whereas modern
Right.
anime characters have slightly smaller eyes, but their pupils are massive and they're sparkly.
Yep, and I actually prefer the 80s character design like this than the 90s, where like the chin is so small,
Pointy.
so thin. Yeah, so pointy that
Yeah.
it looks so weird.
I like it. I like 90s. Like, when I think 90s designs, I think Sadamoto character designs, like for Gainax, and
Alright, alright.
like the Cowboy Bebop character designs. I fucking love.
Yeah,
Um,
all right.
So 90s for me is a sweet spot, but I also do really like Takahashi and Adachi
Yep.
manga designs.
Yep.
So
So
it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the character designs in Urusei Yatsura, and I think one difference between me and you here is that I also like the characters, just in general.
you actually like the characters, you say?
Yeah, not necessarily in this version,
All right,
but
all right.
I like Lum. I like Shinobu. I even like Ataru, the pervert. The main male character, because in the 80s adaptation, he's like pathetic.
Yeah,
He's
alright.
he's basically a joke because he has no hope of ever getting together with any of the women that he's perving on, and the way that he does it is like his facial expressions. It gets a lot more cartoony,
Yep.
more off model, and you get a sense of just how wacky and like desperate and hopeless he is.
Okay.
This version of Urusei Yatsura, it's brighter, it's louder, it's faster,
Yep.
but it doesn't have the same personality. I don't feel like,
Right.
I don't know. I think the softness of the colors and of the like the rounded character designs and everything, I think that kind of took some of the edge off the fact that most of the characters in the show are like ridiculous and stupid and offensive.
I would just say that the whole thing, the whole the three main characters and the whole deal they gotten into are nonsense. It's nonsense from beginning to end. Like I cannot take it very seriously when the lump people come to invade the world and saying that they pick a random boy to catch the girl, and it's being like broadcast live everywhere, and he have like 10 days, 7 days to do that, to catch a girl, and they have to go to the stadium, like in live to do that. I just don't. I cannot take that story seriously.
Well, it's not really meant to be taken seriously.
Well, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
comedy
that's true.
manga,
It's
first
true.
and foremost.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if you're really supposed to put it to the test, mentally. I
Yeah.
think you're just supposed to laugh at it. Now the question is whether you find it funny.
Nah, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find
I
it. It's especially towards the second half where we have like a love triangle. I find it a bit tiresome later on. I feel like some of the joke is premeditated now.
yeah. It was kind of tiresome. I mean that story in particular just has Ataru trying to communicate with Shinobu and Lum, trying to get in the way of that and disrupt that. And it forms
Yep.
that Bermuda Triangle and everything. But really that's all the story that there is to it, is that Ataru wants to talk to another girl and Lum won't allow it, and that that micro situation plays out multiple times in a row until of course there's some weird supernatural event that occurs as a result. And that's how a lot of the little stories in Urusei Yatsura play out.
Yep.
But this one in particular, yeah, it's not great.
Yep. The next question is now you have watched like 30 episodes of the original, so
Not quite 30, but yeah, a bunch.
will it get better? Like does it have like some sort of story going on with it?
No,
It's just like that, just like this.
pretty much. But
Alright.
I haven't seen that much yet.
Okay.
I will say that so Urusei Yatsura and indeed a lot of the like a lot of long-running anime series, because anime it didn't used to be just 13, 12 episode adaptations everywhere you look. It used to be like 26 and 52 and 100 plus. That used to be the way it was for TV anime 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Urusei Yatsura has a reputation of taking a little while to find its feet. And then once it does, and there start to be more original episodes mixed in with the ones that are adapting stuff from the manga, the original episodes being written by Oshii and his writers, that's when the show starts to get really good, according to people who have, who are big fans, obviously. So no bias. Now I haven't gotten far enough for there to be a lot of anime original episodes in it yet. But I will say there's one episode that I've watched of the 80s version, episode 10. I specifically remember it's a Christmas episode.
Yep.
And it was I was so impressed. Like, it's one of the best anime episodes that I've seen probably this year.
Really?
Yeah, among
Alright.
everything that I've watched from any time period at all. It was extremely clever. It was heartwarming. It was really funny. It was like really loosely animated. You could tell the people who were making it had a lot of fun doing it. I was amazed at episode 10 of Urusei Yatsura. So I've seen that episode and 23 others, and of the other 23, none of them come even close.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I don't know if I can really recommend it to modern audiences, but
That
I plan to watch more. I plan to just like put my nose to the grindstone and just see how far I can get.
I see. I actually just watched that episode 10
Episode 10 of what?
at of the original show that you just said, and see
The
see
Christmas
how good that
episode?
is. The Christmas episodes, yeah.
Did you?
If-
I'm sorry. Did you say that you just watched it?
No. I just need to watch it.
Oh. Yeah.
Instead of like the 30 episodes.
Yeah.
Just just by on your recommendation.
Well, I thought it was great. But you probably need to watch a few episodes of it first to get a sense of, how it operates.
The characters.
Yeah, well, plus the, the art style and the way that it looks and the way everybody moves and yada yada yada.
Yep.
But as for this new one, I mean, we're talking mostly about the '80s one. This new one, it's all right. I mean, I think the fact that it moves so fast kind of takes away from the characters a little bit. Their relationships with each other are not very substantial, and it's not as though they are, it's not as though they're all that in a bag of chips in the '80s version either. But for example, Shinobu, in the second half of the episode specifically, the Bermuda Triangle plot, her whole role is to be like, Ataru, I hate you so much. You were just cheating on me the whole time. Rah, 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 rah. Like,
Yep. True.
when the show moves as fast as it does, in that plot, like there's no time for you to feel sympathy for her because like she likes Ataru and she feels that she can't be together with him because Lum is always messing things up and because Ataru is such a pervert. You need to feel some sense of sympathy for her in order for her outbursts not to come across as like annoying.
Yep.
But watching this reboot, I didn't feel anything for her except wanting her to like talk less.
And even to Ataru, like he had to have some redeeming quality so that like it justify he having a harem. All right, two girls. But
well, there'll be many more women introduced, and he'll fall in love with all of them and get together with none of them. That's the formula.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Does he have any redeeming qualities in the '80s anime? Kind of. Is he likely to have any in this version? Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
all right.
He is the main character, so I assume that the show will eventually give him something to do other than ogle girls and complain about how misfortune is being heaped upon him.
Yep. Alrighty. Yep.
Last place
to me as well. But I will keep watching it.
I'm going to give it a couple more tries.
Yep. Alrighty. So the anime of the last few years, hey. The anime season of the last few years.
Well, I mean, out of these 10, how many would you say you don't want to watch anymore?
Oh, none. Actually, none. I gonna keep watching all of them.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And a few more, actually.
Yeah. I know you're going to watch Golden Kamuy Season 4.
Yeah. Akiba Met Wars, just to see like what it's go from here.
Yeah.
And maybe some other shows.
Got to get some stuff watched so we can make reliable, accurate, and objectively correct top 10 lists, which we'll be, talking about in a couple months or 3 months, I guess.
Yep, that's true.
All right, we did it.
Cool. So next postcard, we're gonna do anime movies.
Yeah, that'll be far in the future, like a month or a month and a half from now.
Yep. Still. Yep, we try to catch up with some anime that released either last year, but this year got subtitle, or like early this year, and some of the really good stuff as well.
Hopefully, we'll find out.
Yep.
And we'll report back in a month and a half.
All right, see you guys then, and enjoy this season of anime where all the classic shows are here. So like into to watch it.
All right. See you later.